Hey everybody, it's Jordan with PDQ.com. Today we're going to try to use PowerShell to make it so packages that we can't put in the library, you can still automate so you can still follow through with your set it and forget it. This is something that me and Lex did in webcast long enough ago that we could stand side by side and do the webcast. So I'm going to recap that part of it, where before we did updating the variables and the schedules, and we're going to add in then actually downloading the packages and updating everything completely hands-off. So I guess the first part we're going to go over is creating the package that will update without you having to do anything with it. And we'll open up mremote-ng here. And what we're looking at here is the install file. You see we have a couple of variables. We're using the repository, which is, we open up our settings here, this is just this setting here, where all of your, if you're using the package library, that's where it's going to download to. And then lose my window that I had open. There we go. And then just the name of the folder that it's going to be within. So if it was like, say, Adobe Acrobat, it would be Adobe then Acrobat, where if it's just mremote-ng, it's just that one folder name. And then
I hate to do this during the show, but can you resize and center that?
Oh, absolutely. I thought I was centered. Is that not going? No. We getting different results for the end users than we're seeing on our side?
I guess my definition of tighter center is not the same as yours anymore.
All right. Well, I'm not sure exactly what we're aiming for in that one, so I'm just going to continue.
Just ignore them and keep going.
All right. There we go. The next one is a variable that we are creating here, where it's just going to be the version name for the release. So if we come in here and do variables, see if that's better there. You can see we just have the current version that we have for whichever product we're looking at. And so the ultimate goal is, as long as we have the variable name and the install file is the same, we update the variable, it's going to point to the new install file, and it should be able to kick off the package with the latest install without you having to have any hands-on for that one. It's the same thing for Acrobat, but just to kind of show it live, we'll build one for Discord. Give it a name. I don't normally do this. I'm on my A game right now, guys. I'm going to name it Discord because that's what I'm installing. All right, so install step, we're going to come and select the variables. It's just the system one that we're talking about. Repository, /Discord.
How about now, Jordan?
And how about now?
Now can you see that it's out of?
I can't. I don't. Go back.
All right.
All right. All right, then we're going to go to the custom one. We're going to point to the variable that we created. And then I'm going to go look at my old one because I've lost my train of thought here. Anything else? And then just the name of the install file, which I believe Discord was an executable. Where'd my window go here?
I think we tested this yesterday. After you get that variable in there, can't you hit the ellipsis and go look it up?
The three dots.
I'm sorry I threw off your groove.
No, we'll be okay. And yeah, so if you do the three dots and just point to the existing install file, it's going to keep all your variables in there and update for you on that one. Since it's an executable, I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's -s. I definitely didn't research that before we started. All right, and so now with this one, it should be the silent install for Discord. It will push out to machines, and now we got to work at I guess the next part is collection, so you can see which machines have it if you want to target the schedules for that one. We'll come in here with the same thing. We got Acrobat, and that one's definitely not centered. And it's just coming in here, it's just the application name, and the version is not lower than with the variable that we created. One important part that I missed out, it is critical on inventory and deploy. The variables are case sensitive, so however you put it on one, it's got to be the exact same another. Copy paste over typing that out. It's just, I can't work around that one. It's just case sensitive matters in this case.
You know, I love the copy paste. I noticed you copied the Google Chrome.
Oh, did I not change something?
Yeah,
Oh, the
description.
What makes this worse is it wasn't even working smarter because I used Chrome, which has a 3-part and a 4-part variable, making it more complex. Instead of using a simple one, would be a direct situation. So apparently, if we're going to copy these ones, you want to remove the old description, or else you're just going to look ridiculous on the internet. we'll go through and get those. And then once again, to kind of showcase that, we will copy this one and try to do Discord now. Minimize that so I can get down to some blank space here. Discord, and so it's the same thing. We're going to go in there. We're going to update just the variables itself, make it so it's no longer named Acrobat 2. In fact, why don't we change it to Discord? I'm radical that way. And this one, the name equals, look at that, in the title I actually have the version not lower than. We don't want that. For just the main one, we just want the name equals Discord. All right, and then down in the sub ones where we have latest and old, we're going to put, once again, Discord. I'm assuming that's the name. If you're actually using this for Discord, you might want to scan your environment and make sure it is not like Discord Inc. or something along those lines. And then this one, we do want it to be version not lower than, and we're going to point to the different custom variable for Discord, the 0.0. I'm going to say 308.
One minor suggestion, man.
Okay.
You might want to call that instead of Acrobat latest or
that's a good
Acrobat
idea.
old Discord.
That is a good idea. Keep everything up to date. So if you are going to copy, make sure you change everything. There we go. Discord, and then last thing is the variables. And this one we're doing version lower than, not lower than. And now we have a collection for each one of those. We did it, guys. We did it with no descriptions. All right, the next part of automating is schedules. I mean, you go on it to kick off to install without you looking at it. I did pre-build these, and this time I didn't remove Discord, so you have to make some changes. But in this one, it's just whatever time you want. We'll say, what I do, a week, every Tuesday. Not every other, not the second Tuesday, like this past Tuesday. We're just going to try it every Tuesday, apparently, at 5 p.m. We are pointing to Discord old. That's nice, that copied over. Saved me some time. And we're going to copy over the package that we built. And with this, with the schedules, the ID really matters for when it comes to updating, because after it does install, we have the check mark or the checkbox for right here, stop deploying once it succeeds. That way, once it's installed, it's not going to keep on trying to install it. But then there's a target history, and every time it's successful, it's in there, which means even if we update the package itself, that's not going to run because it's going to consider it already succeeded. So we have to clear that out. To do that, we're going to do that at the end here, and it requires the ID that is listed right there with my perfect circles, not the band, the drawing. All right, I guess the best way to show this is to go into the PowerShell. The first takeaway from what I found out this, I don't have one that's just going to kind of go in and find whatever software you want, because we have to tie it to the latest version, which is different for each site. You also have your Git or this one in case FTP or just like a regular HTML query. So for each software you want to do, these are kind of steps to kind of help you get started, but you're going to have to go in and customize it to fit the needs to be able to update based on the variable. The top two, and this one's for Acrobat, which I suppose we should start off by saying for Acrobat, this is only for updating Acrobat, not the initial install. They have a license distribution agreement where if you're sending it across your network to intranet, you have to agree with them, then send out the install. This is just saying you already have that, you have distributed out, then when it comes time to patch, we're going to automate the patching instead of keeping that manual. I can't help you with the initial install. That's something where you have to work out their agreement with Adobe on that one.
Was that like a disclaimer?
That was a disclaimer. I don't want people to think that I'm bypassing their legalese on this one. This one is supplementing once you have followed the procedure. All right, and so the first thing we're doing is grabbing the locations of the database. If I'm being totally honest, I'm only using the inventory database on this one. I just included the deploy in case you wanted to use deploy instead. It's not really going to matter. I just have both of them in there. And then we're doing a query based on the inventory database for the name of the variable that we created. And this is where the case sensitivity really matters. If you have it capitalized in that one, it has to be capitalized here. And the last one is we're grabbing the repository. This is where all your install files are saved, and then we're adding Adobe Acrobat there. Just run those to get those built out real quick. right, so the next part is I went to the FTP site, and I'm looking at Adobe Acrobat 2017, and I statically put in that address there because that's where I'm at. It's where each one's different. You can have it. You can put it as a parameter up top, where you can change it without having going to the script. I just didn't get to that point, but since each one's going to be different, you are going to have to point it to the software you want to install. So we're just going to create that variable real quick. And then we're doing a FTP web request and create. Next one. This one is basically just starting the connection. All right, and then right here you can see you have the web request methods where we're doing FTP because we're on the FTP site, and I'm doing list directory details, which grabs the title as well as there's some permissions in there and when it was created. There is a way to do it with just list directory that I thought of later. I'll kind of go into the finer details on that one, but we're going to grab the details that includes the date on this one, just so we can make sure we're grabbing the latest version. And we're going to get our response here. Let's run the next 3 lines here. Hope those keep going. Okay, let me start the download of this one in just a few minutes, and that takes a while. It's a perfect time to take them. All right, so if we come in here to the FTP reader we just built and reread it to the end, read to the end, you can see here, for reasons that I cannot possibly fathom, the last entry, instead of having the year, puts 12:12 in there, which if you were, I don't know, using regex to separate based on the date format that is standard, that's gonna throw in a little bit of an issue. That's what we're doing. I have to actually go re-grab those real quick. Sorry, I went to the end of the stream. I closed my connection. We're going to come in here. We're going to build an array, and we're going to go into each line from the read line, and we're going to apply this regex. I don't think I need to explain that. It's just right there. That goes in. It's going to grab the date and the name of the file itself, which is the update version. It's going to, for each line, if it's not the end of the stream, which we're looking for right here, we're going to split it based on that registry. And what we had to add, because the date is wrong on that last one, is if it is greater than 4 characters, just manually change it to 2020. This is where an issue comes in. I don't know if the bottom one is always going to be where the year's wrong, or if it's just this one case. So if it's the year's wrong, the next one comes out is going to set it to 2020 instead of 2021, which is going to cause some problems, which is why I have a different method I thought of, which I'll kind of go over in just a bit here.
2020 is still causing problems in its wake.
Yeah, it's still getting us. Oh, I have to run my entire while loop there. And it's going to go through at the end. It's going to build the object of the date, where it's going to combine the month and day with the year, and then also the name of the folder. Add it to our array, and we're going to sort it by last modified and grab the last one. And then this is where, let's see if we run that one, you can see it does have the version in there, but it's not the same format you're going to see when you browse it. It's going to be 2 digits dot 3 digits dot 5 digits, which is where we run that line there for the new version, and that's what the actual version is. And then the last step, we're comparing the version we pulled from our system, that variable, versus the new version, and if they're not the same, since we're grabbing the latest one in the FTP, we're going to go ahead and download it. Which is a lot of the same thing. It's the request. We're building the install string, and run that last bit here. And that's going to take a while to download, so do we have any questions? Okay.
Hey, Jordan, with the Discord collection example, instead of defining the name again, would it be better to drill down from parent or define everything separately? Thanks, Daryl S.
Well, there's the 2 options for the Discord one. You could either drill down from the parent. We don't usually do that in our example collections. Or another option is have 2 variables, one that's like Discord name and the other one Discord ver, and then you could just put the variable in there, and then anything that updates, that should update as well. It's probably the way I should have done it instead of hard coding. You'd think for someone that's a big fan of PowerShell, I'd avoid hard coding the way that I do on there. All right.
It's so fun.
It's so much faster initially.
Until you go back and go like, what was I doing there?
It's only when you have to go back to the end that you're going to be sad about it. All right, so that's still downloading. I guess do we have another question while it's working?
Jordan, is there a way to set PDQ variables from the command line? David R.
There absolutely is. That's actually going to be the last step that we do on this one, so I kind of have to go through the whole process, but then at the very end we do showcase how you can update the variables that will do it based on if there is a new install. Boy, that's it's still going. It's 145 megabytes. So as we can see, oh, there we go, it's done. As you can see, if we went into the repository where we built it, the Adobe Acrobat, we have the old version that has the install file, and it builds the new version with the new version variable, it's very critical that the name of this folder is the correct name because that's what's going to update your variable. And in there we have the same install file. In this case it's an MSP, so the silent parameters will be in there by default when you add it. And then the archive, which is if you want to keep the old ones. It's just kind of bad update, maybe not a bad idea to instead of throw away the old ones, keep them there just in case and clear that out occasionally. And that's just a quick way to do it for, I guess not quick, but it's a way to do it for Adobe, where it's going to go through. They don't give you directly the version in there, but we kind of built it as we went to get the proper final version for that collection. The next one, I guess what we're going to do, this one's the HTTP version. This starts the exact same. We're grabbing that's not underlined at all. We're grabbing the database locations, building the variable, and grabbing the repository, and naming the install file. I didn't have to do that with Adobe because the name that you downloaded was right in there. This one, I just build the string at the end. The major change on this one, there's a lot of similar. Where I grabbed this address for was I went to Discord site and hovered over their download latest, and it gives you that URL. We went in there and grabbed. Did I run the rest of these? Better be safe than sorry. And as you can see here, we are grabbing a net HTTP web request over a FTP. And it's worth noting that where I had list details on the FTP, HTTP has different. It has connect, get, head, make, column, and post, things like that. We just need the header. We're using this to actually grab the variable itself, not the variable, the install version, which we can see if I come in here and grab the response. We'll type that one out. You can see here there is a response URI that in there contains the 0.0.309, which is the latest version. So if you can't find that version somewhere within the download file, you can automate the download and manually create the folder and then automate the variables, but there's still the middle part that has to be manual. But if you can find the variable, then you're good to go with just having everything be automated. And for that one, we're just I'll go and we're grabbing the response URI, local path, and splitting it by the /, which looks like this here. So all we have now is the latest version. And then it's the same thing where it's basically if the versions are different, you could put in logic in there to say this version is bigger than the other version, but I figure where we're downloading the latest, if the versions are different, it's a pretty safe bet. It depends on how far you want to go with that one. And if it works, we're creating the new folder. I was right where I needed to be. Discord, you can see we have just 308. We're on this last bit. This one's actually going to go quite a bit faster. Thank you, smaller installs. But the first thing it does come in, it creates the folder with the latest version, and the install file shows up right there. All right, and then the last one we're going to showcase is if it is in a GitHub. We're using this mremote ng version of it. The top is the same parameters we're grabbing, and all the other ones, those are pretty static. As far as the URL goes, it's pretty similar. It's always going to go API GitHub repos, and then you just have to know the name of the repo from that point on and run that one. It's just another thing where there's no default. I can go out and find it. I just went and found the specific one and built it. And then this one, instead of doing opening the web request with the .NET, we're just doing the invoke web request command and converting that from a JSON file, because that is the result you get. And you want to see what the version for that one is, it's 176.20.24615. Right here, where I'm grabbing the latest, that's the latest official release, but if you want to do something in the beta, you just come in and you'd remove the latest part. And then outside of that JSON, the convert from, we're going to want to put 0 just to grab the first one. That's going to be the latest version. So if we run those two.
So Jordan, there's a lot of footwork with this, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. There's not a way I can just say, hey, this is going to go in and find it. You have to go in and find out exactly how to download it and customize the script where it grabs the variable. But you can see with the changes I put in there, where if I typed it correctly, it's grabbing the latest, which is the beta, not the final release. We're going to go back into the latest because I don't like change. I don't trust myself to type it correct either, so we'll just do it the old way with the undo. And then it's the same thing, compare versions. If it's there, create the folder and download it. All right, and I guess what's that? Do we have any other questions that have come in?
Hey, Jordan, is the PDQ Deploy repository cleanup tool smart enough to use the variable names and accurately pick up old installers? Thanks, Dave W.
Repository cleanup. So the cleanup tool is basically, it will find installers that aren't tied to a package. So if it is a Stell package or a Stell installer is not being used, it'll find that. Even if it's an old installer, if it's tied to a package somewhere, it won't find it. All right. That one didn't look like that one updated for me. Let's see what I built here. Did I keep it? I never updated my variables, so I just installed that to Discord. And that's why you run the variable ones. Come here, we're going to delete that. And then just run the script as a whole. Back to the...
Hey, while that's running, the other thing about the cleanup tool, it's a good idea if you're building custom packages to put a custom folder, and then you can exclude that folder, and anything that you're working on won't actually be shown up or deleted from that repository cleanup tool.
Okay, that's some fantastic advice. Definitely, if you run the cleanup tool and you delete to something that's not active yet, you're going to be grumpy. All right, so that's kind of a quick, not a quick, I keep saying quick, it's not quick. That's a way that you can go through the different versions to find the software you want. So if there's a particular package you want to do, you just require some research. But the examples I have in there, which should be on our bonus content, will help you get started or down the path. And you just have to customize it. Just need to make sure you do absolutely grab the latest version. It needs that for this last script that we're about to run, the auto update variables, which apparently this was written by me. All right, so this one's the same thing at the top. We're just creating a blank array. You can tell this is an older script because instead of building it like a list array, that's much faster. I just did it this way. The repository and the database location. And we're going to come into and we're going to build objects for each package that you have. In our case, we have mremote, Acrobat, and Discord. Maybe I should actually underline instead of pointing at them. All right, and with each one of those, you have to have a couple of things. The name of the variable, which case sensitive does matter. The schedule ID that we talked about earlier that is going to be clearing out, and the path to the install file. And so we're creating 3 here. It's the mremote ng, Acrobat, and Discord. And then we're just going to put that all into the array that we built up at the top. Maybe I should actually run those to build them. Otherwise, I just look ridiculous. All right, and then the way this script is going to work is going to go in and it's going to do a count of the folders within the file you're specified. So repository, Discord. And if there's 3 folders, it knows that there's a new version in there because you have the archive, you have your old version, you have the one that just downloaded. So it's going to go in there, it's going to grab whichever one's older, move it into the archive, and then it will go through and update the variables based on the name of the folder that's in there, which is how the version is going to update in the variables, and it should update everything in there. And the last thing it's going to do is going to come into the schedule, and it's going to go in there, it's going to clear out the entire history of the schedule you listed in there, so it will run on the next update. So we'll just Run that one. Should start getting some information here that is updating variables. It's going to say it twice, once for deploy, once for inventory. So if we go to deploy, you can see the packages are still showing that they have the install file because it has the updated one. And the variables are absolutely updated. And if we go to the repository, you can see that it deleted the old one or not deleted, moves it down to the archive, and you have only the new version there. So the way this will work altogether, you want the PowerShell scripts you build to run independently on the task schedule or any way you want to kick those off. That will go through and it will check to see if there's a newer version. If there is, it will download it and start off the process. And then you want the next one that clears out and updates the variables to run sometime after, depending on how long. You saw the Adobe one that was 140 megs and didn't go particularly fast. Make sure you have plenty of leeway. Run that one, update your variables, get all the packages up to date, and the schedule's clear. And the next time that schedule kicks off, it's going to update the latest version for software that's not in the package library. All right, do we have any other questions? Okay.
So I hope I've translated this one correctly. We had to rewrite it, and I don't think English is the first language. So here we go. Hi, how can we build Windows 10 build version upgrade packages? Sometimes patches are not compatible with specific Windows builds while pushing packages. How do we identify such computers?
I'm not sure. So is that one, are they talking about like the full feature updates that we don't offer in the package library? Or is that...
That's what I'm not sure.
If that's the case, there's some notes out there on how to build these packages. We don't have it in the package library because those updates usually take long enough that the package shows as failed before it's completed because it doesn't check back in on one of the reboots. So it's one where it does work, but it doesn't always work in a way that it's going to report back successfully on your machine. So there's a lot of trial and error on that one, and you're probably not going to get the reporting you're hoping for, but you might be able to make that work. All right. Okay.
Can you remind me how to select a group of computers in inventory, then paste those into a deployment? I saw it once on here, but since forgot how to do it, thanks, Ian M.
Yeah, we'll grab these ones here. Come in here, we'll say we're installing Discord, deploy once. Just put in the window, Control V, will paste right in there. That also works for, you can do I believe, drag and drop. We're going to test that one. We're going to move Daffy Duck over. Nope, I was wrong on that one. That's for adding them to target lists. Yeah, other than that, you can point them to collections within the package itself, which might be a little bit better. But yeah, just Control C, Control V, copy paste, and it'll copy right over for you. All right. Okay.
Somewhat off topic, but mostly just because I'm curious. When I run deploy and inventory in client mode on my laptop over a VPN connection, I get a lot of fan noise and CPU usage when running deployments or scans. Is most of the work done by the client? I would have expected the server inside the LAN to do most of the work. Sincerely, Alexander N., who looks remarkably similar to Gavin Rosdale from the band Bush.
All right, well played, Alexander N. So for that one, I mean, the actual work of the deployment is going to be done on the machine you're deploying to. The only place that I can think of where you're going to see that kind of information is where it's downloading the install file. So if you're on the client or wherever the repository is, it might be, I think you can change it to push or pull, where push will put it onto the client, which will then push it out with the install, where pull will have the client do the pulling down, so where you probably wouldn't see that same results. But other than that, I can't think of anything.
If he's in central server mode, okay, any work that you're doing, like your laptop's pointing at the server across your VPN, all that work is truly taking place on the server. So your laptop's spinning up the fan and stuff. I don't know about that, but when you are in central server mode, that server that you're connecting to is doing the work.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we're not 100% on why that would be spinning up like that. All right. Okay.
One last question, kind of a different topic, but can we also access the database to get the status of a deployment? It would be great to get the status of a deployment after triggering from the CLI. Sincerely, Yassine D.
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can open up the command line there and see what we have. So we're looking for a current deployment. I don't know if we have anything like that in there. Let's see, send database. You can start a schedule from there, but as far as status, I'm not seeing that. The only way I could think to do that would be a SQL query, which would have to run while it was actually installing. I don't know if that would be wise or feasible. But as far as from the command line, we don't have anything like that to see the current one. All right.
I lied. There is actually one more question.
All right.
The hits just keep on coming, everybody. Is there a way to auto-deploy packages to a collection when new computers join the collection? Thanks, Troy.
So I guess we auto deploy packages to collection. I guess the first time it's added to the collection, only thing I can think of would be like an aggressive schedule where you have it checked to not deploy once it's been successful. So if you put in the collection, the schedule would kick off and it would only include those machines that don't have those software installed yet from the schedule. And then you could make the schedule as aggressive as you need to be, and it's only going to run against those that haven't had it. I don't know. Do you have a better version than that, Lex?
I know. I do it the same way. I just, I do it the same way. I just try and make you look. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, what Jordan said.
Okay. Hey, I got one. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Just remember, the scripts themselves, they're not going to work by default. You have to do research for the software you're trying to install, make it customize. Make sure you grab the version, and that does have to be the name of the folder that you're putting it in. With that, you can basically make even packages not in our library completely hands-free. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Alexander N. and Troy M., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you back here next week.